Come my way, my truth, my life, such a way as gives us breath, such a truth as ends all strife, such a life as killeth death. Come, my light, my feast, my strength, such a light as shows a feast, such a feast as mends in length, such a strength as makes his guest. Come, my joy, my love, my heart, such a joy as none can move, such a love as none can part, such a heart as joys in love.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning. And welcome to this service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Thomas Gregg, and I am the worship associate this morning. Today is Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. Our community is striving to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you have been, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. And whoever you are becoming, we welcome you. And we invite you to bring your whole self here now. The CDC has determined that COVID is now endemic. The virus is not going away. Even though wearing masks is no longer required, you are, of course, still welcome to wear a mask. If you are feeling sick, we encourage you to join us on YouTube. At the start of the pandemic, our congregation was very committed to keeping vaccinated and boosted for all of our sakes, especially for those of us who are most vulnerable. Please, let's maintain that commitment. I'm getting my booster in a week or so. There are gender-specific bathrooms out the glass doors behind you and to your right. And there is also an accessible and gender-inclusive single-stall restroom in the alcove behind the AV desk. As we move more deeply into the sacred space of worship, please know that you are indeed welcome here. Whether you walked in, rolled, or skipped, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whatever cultural and ethnic background you claim, whoever you love, however you identify your gender, and in whatever way you choose to express it, you are truly welcome here.
I'm going to use the privilege of the microphone to make like a church PSA, which is I've noticed that we, and my people in my life, and we here have been a little snippy with each other the past week. Anybody else notice that? Maybe just a little bit? No, not about any one of us. It's just us. And it's not even about us. It's not, this is our fault. There's a lot going on, and we are stuck in the swirl of it, and our bodies are acting out of that swirl. So, if you are noticing yourself being snippy or snipped at, and you might want some help navigating that snip or whatever it is, a reminder that we have a healthy congregations team who can help people resolve conflict, whether it's this small or this big. Jody Bergedick is here in the front row. She's a member of that team. Beth Britton and Maura Raffensperger, as well as Preston McMillan, are also on that team. So please reach out if you need it. A reminder that they're here. You can meet them in person, or they've got an email, hct@uuctucson.org. Our words for call to worship this morning are called Remembrance Invocation by Reverend Lynn Cox. Welcome, you who approach this time as a journey towards the horizon, the beginning of the next chapter, seeking all of the insights and opportunities the new day offers.
Welcome, you who live out your values with passion, who have a drive for transforming the world toward gratitude and healing, who are ignited by purpose.
Welcome, you who ride the waves of life with serenity, you who show courage in facing the depths of true emotion, you who create and change and flow with the time.
Welcome, you who are here to seek the center, you who wish to be grounded in community, you who call our attention to the present moment.
Welcome all from every direction with all your gifts and your limits, with all that the past week and the past year have given you.
We find ourselves here on the threshold of a new day. Some would say a new year, at a time when the past and the present are stirred together in the cauldron of what we shall become.
Today we will remember our beloved dead. Today we give thanks to the people and the forces that helped us reach this moment.
Today we gather with the saints and sinners and souls who have been, are being, and will be this congregation as we open up a new path to the future. I invite you to join me in saying our words for chalice lighting from Reverend Chris Rothbauer. We gather together this morning because others came before us. Some have left examples for us to follow, others lessons for us to learn from. And the paradox is that many have left both pain and joy. We honor our ancestors this morning, not because they are perfect, because without them, we would not be here, together, sharing our joy, our pain, our living, and our dying. If you are joining us on YouTube and have a chalice or candle nearby, please light it now as we light our chalice here in Holland Sanctuary.
The Say-Em Barnwell song, We Are, is a song that she suggests intends to inspire hope, but also respect for the uniqueness of each of us. And yet it's also a song that draws attention to the way that we are all similar and that we come from a lineage of those that came before. That in mind, would you rise as you are able and sing We Are. It's 1051 in the Teal hymnal, and the words will be on the screen.
We are
These are the days of Samhain, of Dia de los Muertos, of All Souls and All Saints. These are the days when they say the veil between our world and the world of our ancestors is thin. And I have some sense that there is some truth to the thinness of the veil, because so many across time and generation and place have gathered in a myriad of ways to honor their beloved dead right around this precise time in the earth's motions. So we too now gather to remember our beloved ancestors, those by blood and those by choice, and also to honor the saints of our own lives, those who have left an imprint, a legacy of inspiration in their wake. When we think back to our ancestors, we think about the people, our memories, their stories which shaped us. And as we think about these stories, these people, it's not all rosy, right? When we dwell in the real truth of our ancestors' lives, our ancestors' stories, when we feel the fullness of their lives, the entirety of our memories of them, we can feel both immense love and incredible pain. We feel in our bodies how we have inherited both trauma and resilience. So as you are dwelling amongst the stories of your ancestors this morning, how those stories are now your stories, remember that somatic therapist Resmaa Menakem once said, "Trauma is not our destiny. It can be healed." All of us have trauma in our lineage, and all of us can heal from the trauma that is our inheritance. As you dwell among the stories of your ancestors and how those stories are now your stories, remember that psychologist Bruce Perry once said, "Connectedness regulates and rewards us." It is life-giving to stay connected to the stories of our ancestors and to gather together in connected community, to grieve their deaths, to feel our resilience, both that inherited and that personally cultivated, which sustains us now. I'll invite us to take a few silent moments to notice the stories and the ancestors that are coming present to you in this moment, to feel the wholeness of your history as you hold both the trauma and the resilience and whatever else comes up in your body. And my only ask in this period of silence we'll have is that you be gentle with yourself in your remembering. In her book, We Heal Together, which this ritual of remembrance was drawn from, Michelle Cassandra Johnson writes, "The purpose of knowing where we come from, coming together in community and engaging in rituals with using our history and ancestry as a guide, is for us to multiply our collective resilience. Some people resist investigating their lineage and history because of the horrors inherent in it, while others rely on their lineage to remind them of the shoulders they stand upon and the resilience embodied within them. I believe," she writes, "all our lineages embody resilience. We may have to dig deep for it, or simply believe it is in there somewhere way back in our bloodline, or much closer to our generation." For the traumas inherited from our ancestors, Tom and Reverend Jamili are now going to light white candles. And for the resilience inherited from our ancestors, they will light black candles. In a moment, I'll invite anybody who would like to come forward to light a red candle, which are in front of me, the skinny red ones, to remember your bloodline. Those ancestors and beloved dead whose stories and lives gave birth to your own. I invite you to come forward, light a candle or two, and to say the names of your beloved dead aloud so that we can hold that collective cacophony of names and stories and beloveds together in this space. And when you are lighting candles together, I invite you to stand next to each other, to fill the spaces between bodies. As we are shoulder to shoulder in our candle lighting, we are demonstrating through our bodies that none of us grieves alone. You're welcome now to come forward to light a candle and to say a name of a loved one or ancestor out loud into our space. Will you bring your ancestors, their stories, your memories with me into this moment of prayer, meditation, whatever that looks like and feels like in your body. Spirit of life, God of many names, source of love. As the wheel of the year turns through another season, with the slight chill and the air growing stronger, we pause to remember those we have lost in our lives. We remember the small moments that stand out amidst our great stories. The breakfasts that were unnoticed at the time, but take on so much more now. The laughter, the hope, the dreams. May our loss in our hearts turn into something different. May we find a profound joy in the gift of knowing those we have loved, and may it teach us to cherish those around us even more. May our remembering of the lives we have known teach us to live fully in the lives we still live. Deepen our ties to the community we are surrounded by, to the families of our birth and the families of our choosing. For our stories continue on. Our world needs our loving all the more in the seasons of cold winds and long nights. Remembering that the wheel continues to turn and the warmth we once knew will return anew again and again. And Mother of Grace, in this election season, we pause before the weight of fear and the trepidation for a nation that has lost its way. Many fear that regardless of the outcome, there will be those who are emboldened to violence. May your peace hold our nation as we wrestle with learning who we are, even knowing that many among us have known this truth for 400 years. For those exhausted, may we share our strength. For those fearful, may they know the love of community. For those without hope, remind them that the story is not yet over. And we have, each of us, to help turn the page to another day. Amen. And I have two things from our Community Care Corner to announce before we sing together. One is that J.D. Garcia's Celebration of Life will be right here today at 2:30 with a reception to follow, and also on Zoom. The link is in this morning's email. And Kate Schleinkoffer wanted me to let you all know that she has entered hospice this past week. She would appreciate texts and cards. Her address has changed recently, so email me or careteam@uuctucson.org if you need that address. This has been a long journey for her, and she's making the choice very intentionally.
The songwriter Jeannie Gagne wrote the song In My Quiet Sorrow to give voice to, in her words, those things which are not expressed, kept within the silence of our hearts. But here we are not alone. Please lend your voices to In My Quiet Sorrow. The hymn words will be on the screen. It's 1006 in the teal hymnal for those that prefer that way. Let's rise.
Will not let me be
Trusting light will guide me. Will you be with me through this time, holding me? You're my hope when I fear, holding on, believing. Deep inside I pray I'm strong. Blessed be.
Before the AV team plays our video, let's just take 2 big deep breaths in and out together. Whenever you're ready, AV.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, America, one today. One sun rose on us today, kindled over our shores, peeking over the Smokies, greeting the faces of the Great Lakes, spreading a simple truth across the Great Plains, then charging across the Rockies. One light, waking up rooftops, under each one a story, told by our silent gestures moving across windows. My face, your face, millions of faces in morning's mirrors, each one yawning to life, crescendoing into our day. The pencil yellow school buses, the rhythm of traffic lights, fruit stands, apples, limes, and oranges arrayed like rainbows, begging our praise. Silver trucks heavy with oil or paper, bricks or milk, teeming over highways alongside us on our way to clean tables, read ledgers, or save lives, to teach geometry or ring up groceries, as my mother did for 20 years, so I could write this poem for all of us today. All of us, as vital as the one light we move through, the same light on blackboards with lessons for the day, equations to solve, history to question, or atoms imagined, the I have a dream we all keep dreaming, or the impossible vocabulary of sorrow. Many prayers, but one light, breathing color into stained glass windows, life into the faces of bronze statues, warmth onto the steps of our museums and park benches as mothers watch children slide into the day. One ground, our ground, rooting us to every stalk of corn, every head of wheat sown by sweat and hands, hands gleaning coal or planting windmills in deserts and hilltops that keep us warm, hands digging trenches, routing pipes and cables, hands as worn as my father's, cutting sugarcane so my brother and I could have books and shoes. The dust of farms and deserts, cities and plains, mingled by one wind, our breath. Breathe. Hear it through the day's gorgeous din of honking cabs, buses launching down avenues, the symphony of footsteps, guitars, and screeching subways, the unexpected songbird on your clothesline. Hear squeaky playground swings, trains whistling, or whispers across cafe tables. Hear the doors we open each day for each other, saying, hello, shalom, buongiorno, howdy, namaste, or buenos dias, in the language my mother taught me, in every language, spoken into one wind, carrying our lives without prejudice, as these words break from my lips. One sky, since the Appalachians and Sierras claimed their majesty, and the Mississippi and Colorado worked their way to the sea. Thank the work of our hands, weaving steel into bridges, finishing one more report for the boss on time, stitching another wound or uniform, the first brushstroke on a portrait, or the last floor on the Freedom Tower, jutting into the sky that yields to our resilience. One sky, toward which we sometimes lift our eyes, tired from work, some days guessing at the weather of our lives, some days giving thanks for a love that loves you back, sometimes praising a mother who knew how to give, or forgiving a father who couldn't give what you wanted. We head home through the gloss of rain or weight of snow or the plum blush of dusk, but always, always home, always under one sky, our sky, and always one moon, like a silent drum tapping on every rooftop and every window of one country, all of us facing the stars. Hope, a new constellation, waiting for us to map it, waiting for us to name it together.
I loved hearing poems in the voice they were written in, right? And also something, you imagine that poem being written 12 years ago and how it still resonates, the way poetry can transcend and also speak to a moment. Have you heard about the story of Matilda Jocelyn Gage? Matilda Jocelyn Gage was born in Syracuse, New York, Cicero, New York, just outside Syracuse in 1826. She grew up with a history, research-loving mother and an activist medical doctor father. Her parents, Helen and Hezekiah, opened their house up to the Underground Railroad when she was a child. In her youth, her father taught her anatomy and physiology so that she might grow up to be a doctor like him. When she was refused entry to medical school for being a woman, she devoted her life to activism and writing. Gage and her husband Henry raised 5 children. A fun note is she was the daughter-in-law of Frank L. Baum, who wrote The Wizard of Oz. They raised 5 children and continued Gage's parents' legacy of opening their home to people escaping their enslavement. Gage wrote for newspapers and gained enough notoriety that she spoke at the 3rd National Women's Convention in Syracuse in 1852. In 1869, she helped found the New York State Women's Suffrage Association and served as its president for 9 years. Wendy, can you imagine 9 years as president? In her advocacy for women, she supported a women's right to divorce in the mid-1800s and have her own reproductive autonomy, including the right to an abortion. Gage was the single suffragette who backed Susan B. Anthony publicly when Anthony was put on trial for voting in the 1872 presidential election. Together with Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Gage wrote the first half of the history of women's suffrage, the first 3 volumes. But halfway through those 6-volume series, Gage was pushed out of working with the 2 now better-known activists. You see, Gage was advocating for the right of all women to vote. And she voiced a pretty heavy critique of the patriarchy within the Christian church. These were not ideas that the predominantly white Christian women's suffragettes wanted in their movement. So Gage eventually formed the Women's National Liberal Union to address suffrage for all women. Through her work, Gage publicly criticized the federal treatment of Native Americans and indigenous peoples, particularly the Haudenosaunee, who are part of the Iroquois Confederacy. She regularly pointed to Native American political practices as more firmly grounded in gender equity than those of our U.S. democracy. Near the end of her life, she was honorarily adopted into the Wolf Clan of the Mohawk Nation and given the name Karonyenhawi, meaning she who holds the sky. Matilda Jocelyn Gage died in 1898. When I remembered Gage's life, it started reverberating in me today, this week, this year, this century. Her story reminds us that the struggle for full democracy has been underway for not decades, but hundreds of years. The struggle for access to abortions, health care, adequate child care, schooling, parental support have been underway for a long, long time. The struggle for all people of all races and ethnicities to be treated equitably and with dignity has been underway for a long, 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 long time. And the struggle will not end this week, no matter the outcome. On the other side of Tuesday, the struggle for democracy, abortion access, health care, racial justice will keep going on. And we who have been fighting for it will keep showing up and keep inviting others to join in. Unitarian abolitionist and minister Reverend Theodore Parker said in a sermon from 1853, "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve, complete the figure by experience or sight. I can divine it by conscience. And from what I can see, I am sure it bends towards justice." Later, civil rights activist and preacher, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. paraphrased Reverend Parker and said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." In times like these, we must remember that length of the moral arc of the universe. We are part of a long lineage of people who put their collective weight on the arc and invited us to join them. The task of our lives is to keep putting pressure towards justice and know that we will eventually be gone. We also must help our kin learn to put their own pressure on that moral arc. The long length of the moral arc is why I am convinced that we are the ones we've been waiting for. Because we are here, and so is this moral arc we imagine. Now, we are not the only ones, far from it. Part of our work on this moral arc is to draw the circle of who we mean by we wider and wider still, to understand that all of our liberation is bound up together, that none of us are free until all of us are free. We are not the only ones, but we are the ones we've been waiting for. And we are not perfect, far, far from it. Part of our work as we are putting pressure on this arc, as we are building towards that world we dream about, is to be clear that we are not there yet. We cannot act as if we are there, which means sometimes needing to set some boundaries around what behaviors our community can tolerate and withstand as we are learning to include more people in the circles of liberation. When thinking about this idea, I love Prentice Hemphill's understanding of boundaries when they say, boundaries are the distance I can love you and me simultaneously. You and me simultaneously. We are not the only ones. We are drawing that circle wider, and we are not perfect, but we are trying to be better. And when I say we, I mean all of us. That vision of togetherness that the poet described in our reading 12 years ago, togetherness that includes all of us who are willing to work together for the benefit of all of us. We who have a commitment to the whole are the ones we've been waiting for. We who know we are not yet perfect and are committed to learning to do better are the ones we've been waiting for. With literal fascism well and alive and thriving, it is going to take a lot of us working together to defend not only our democracies, but our communities and our lives against the rising tide of hatred and supremacy. But here I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. So choir, let's imagine together for a moment the world we are trying to build. Because the road ahead of us will be hard no matter the outcome. And we will need a touchstone of imagination some days to motivate and bolster our spirits. When I imagine a perfect future, and by that I mean not one I expect to attain, but one I can hold up as the ideal for my own living, I imagine a world where no one is left out, where we are all completely free and full of dignity. And we, the collective, act as if none of us can be free until all of us are free. We, the collective, know that no one gets left out and everyone has a right to heal. Can we spend a little time indulging in this world with me? Can you imagine a world where no one gets left out? Where you and yours are never pushed aside? Where even the one you perceive to be your enemy is in the circle of love, maybe not your love, but someone else's? What do we do in a world where no one's left out? What does gathering look like in a world where no one's left out? How do we communicate differently in a world where no one is left out? What do the potlucks look like and taste like and feel like in a world where no one is left out? What sounds do you hear, scents do you smell, things are you feeling in a world where no one is left out? What change are you feeling in yourself in this moment as you're dwelling in this imagined world, discomfort and comfort welcome? What surprises you most about this world where no one is left out? Share with me, and I mean out loud if you would, some things you want us to hear about the world you've been imagining. What are some attributes, some things about this world? The animals came too. Yeah, they did. Janet? Hugs. So many hugs. Just starting with a hug. Respect. Yeah. Fairness. All around. Safety. In all. Telling the truth. Uh-huh. Hate fades away.
Understanding.
What's this one? Understanding? Lack of judgment. Judgment-free zone, yeah. Laughing? Laughing Trumpers, yeah? Infinite kindness. Oh, just rippling out. Peace, responsibility. Equality. Good desserts. Yum! And no calories, right? Love, so much love. Respect all ground. Respect around, yeah.
Everyone has what they need.
Everyone has what they need. Oh, what a beautiful and powerful world we just imagined. That is our hope. That new constellation, as the poet calls it, waiting for us to map it, waiting for us to name it together. We just named it together. As Unitarian Universalists, we have to remember that our hands and our feet and our bodies are powerful. We are the ones who can build that world we dream about. We are love's hands in the world, and we're peace's minds in the world. We are hope's hearts in the world, and we are justice's bodies in the world. So as you participate in these final days of our democratic process this week, remember, We have our ancestors' stories to inspire us, and we have our imagination to keep us focused on the next right thing, and we have our hands and our feet and our bodies to do the work of building that better world for all of us. There is so much still yet to do, but that arc of the moral universe is impossibly long. So let's keep adding our weight to it, pushing it together towards justice for all. May we make it so, blessed be, and amen.
Was a child.
So however you participated in today's service, our congregation depends upon you for your love, your time, and your financial support. For those of you here in person, the ushers will soon be passing around the collection baskets among you. For those watching afar, you can send a check to our church office, give online at uuct.org/donate. And as the offering is collected, announcements about upcoming activities will appear on the screen. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. Danielle?
Good morning. My name is Janet Moore, and I'm on your Board of Trustees serving as the VP of Finance. I want to invite you to social hour after the service in Goddard Hall, which is out the double doors behind you and to the left, that away. There will be coffee, iced tea, lemonade, snacks, and good company. Social hour food and refreshments are free for all, but of course donations are appreciated to cover our costs. If you're new and want to stay in touch with us, you can fill out a guest information card in the Welcome Center in Goddard Hall. You can also find a virtual guest information card in the newcomer section of our website. We have lots of announcements. As was on the slide, don't forget to get your tickets for the Holly Near concert here on Thursday, November 21st at 7:30. The link for online sales is in the email blast, on the website, and the Facebook page. Also look for tickets after church next Sunday and the week after. Tickets are selling steadily, so don't wait till the last minute. It's the last week of Share the Plate voting. It's a very close race, so please vote. Vote everywhere that you can. Ballots can go in the red box or take to the kitchen and give to Sam Meyer. Where's that red box? Oh, okay. Holland Sanctuary will be open this week, Tuesday through Friday evenings, for community-focused decompression space. You are welcome to join us on Tuesday and Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. or Wednesday and Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Friday is also the open mic night, so bring a poem or a joke or a song to share. And on the slide, you noticed that Jonathan Kutab, a Palestinian Christian and human rights lawyer, will speak at UUCT next November 10th at 6:30, and there's a dinner beforehand at 6 p.m. See the e-blast for the registration link. And I need to remind you that our yearly yard sale is happening the November 15th to 16th. And if your ancestors left you with too many possessions, it's a great way to part with them at the yard sale. And Margot Newshouse says, please, 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 volunteers are needed for the setup and of the week of the sale and during the sale. So see me or Margot Newhouse for details. And I will also be available at social hour if you have questions or feedback for your board.
Please join in singing the gratitude song. We are grateful for the endless blessings we receive beyond what we could have conceived, for this journey that led us here and this path to follow all of love so dear. Supposedly there are children that are about to run in and be in our space. It's one of my favorite parts of the service. So let's sing it again, one more time. We are grateful for the endless blessings we receive beyond what we could have conceived, for this journey that led us here and this path to follow of a love so dear.
Forms of Resistance by Kalia Cooper.
The 7 jobs capitalism asks of all of us.
1. Measure self-worth by work. Don't believe in the inherent goodness of people. Instead, decide that everyone's worth is only as much as they achieve. 2. Accept that oppression is the norm. This starts with adultism the moment we are born and conditions us to accept that all other forms of oppression and privilege are just a fact of life for the rest of our lives. 3. Believe the dream. Believe that to be American means that your success is eventual and that any failing is your own individual fault. 4. Get numb and number. Close off your feelings and just suck it up. Find a form of addiction that is either secret enough or socially acceptable enough so that you can get by. Then, tisk anyone with a less hidden addiction. Blame them for the problem and offer them no support. 5. Isolate. Grow increasingly more distant from people and community. Develop a nuclear family from whom you may attempt to get all of your needs met and lash out at them when it doesn't work. 6. Disassociate from your body. Make your mind and body separate entities. Find pieces of yourself to love and pieces of yourself to hate. Attempt to buy things to close the gap. Tell yourself that you only deserve rest, pleasure, and play when you've worked for it. 7. Assimilate. Strive to look like, act like, and be like the typical white USer you're supposed to be. Forget your history, forget your religion, forget your ancestors. They are no longer a part of this narrative. Stop trying to pursue the art, community, and visions you once had. They no longer matter. The 7 forms of resistance all around us. 1, movements. Collectives, groups, organizations, neighbors, and friends can get together and learn about oppression and envision liberation. Organizing has worked over and over again throughout history and will continue to. 2, self-care and community care. We can decide we are worth it and we are vital just because we are alive. 3, tell our stories. We can tell our personal stories and the collective story about the white supremacy, colonialism, patriarchy, and Christian hegemony that founded this country. With our stories, we can refuse to be lied to. 4, healing. We can use therapy, support groups, co-counseling, somatic practices, art therapy, and more to get even bigger, bolder, stronger, and more powerful. We can use the wisdom gained from our healing to create better policy and support communal healing through practices like reparations for slavery. 5, connection. We can dare to cry, laugh, and share our real feelings with all of the people in our lives without placing a limit on the number of people our hearts can love. 6, love. We can refuse to buy into the idea of spreading self-hate. Even in our hardest moments, we can remember that we are human with a human body and we deserve the goodness all humans deserve. 7, art and culture. Artists can rise up everywhere all the time to say, we will not accept this world, we will build a better one. We can choose to learn about our ancestors, their histories and traditions, and find ways to reclaim them afresh for ourselves. Won't you join us?
And may we sing towards the resistance this story just envisioned. Rise as you are able. I'm going to sing the melody, but the choir is going to sing the response to the call of the melody. Sing whatever part you choose. The words will be on the screen. 1, 2. 1, 2, and keep you your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. Though the waves wanna push you around. Let's pick it up already. And 1 and 2 and a little faster. Gotta keep your heart.
For our chalice extinguishing, I invite you to join me in saying our words for chalice extinguishing from Reverend Leah Dorland Jones. For those who came before us, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. May we feel surrounded by their love as we go forth from this time and place. Let us be inspired by their courage, their wisdom, and their dreams. Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and creating heaven on earth. Amen, and blessed be.
You sounded more confident.